Look at this horizon. No water, no sand, no vegetation. Just a blinding, endless expanse of white, stretching into infinity. This isn't snow, ice, or cloud. This is salt. 10 billion tons of it. This is the Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia, the world's largest mirror, the planet's lithium heart, and home to a civilization built on one of the most soluble materials on Earth. It is a place of impossible paradoxes, where the ground is literally the roof, the walls, and the bed. Today we delve into the science, the history, and the sheer audacity of building a city, a culture, entirely out of salt, and the global stakes hidden just beneath the surface. The Salar is utterly unique. Imagine an area larger than Lebanon, entirely flat, sitting 12,000 feet above sea level in the high Altiplano plateau of the Andes. Its foundation is not rock, but a thick, dense crust of salt, reaching depths of over 120 meters in places. How did this colossal crystalline desert form? It is the ghost of a prehistoric inland sea. Around 40,000 years ago, this area was covered by the vast Paleo Lake Minchin, which was fed by glaciers and massive Andean runoff. As the climate warmed and the colossal lake systems began to shrink, the water evaporated away entirely. But the minerals, leached from the surrounding volcanic mountains over millennia, remained, forming layer upon layer of concentrated salt. What you are seeing is not merely a salt flat, but a crystallized geological timeline, holding an estimated 10 billion tons of sodium chloride, a reserve so enormous it could supply humanity for thousands of years. The uniformity of this endless white expanse is itself a profound scientific marvel. In a landscape where wood and stone must be hauled hundreds of miles across treacherous terrain, the local pioneers faced a radical problem. How do you build shelter when your resources are non-existent? The answer was audacious. You build it from the only material in abundance. You build it from salt. The most famous example is the Palacio de Sal, the Palace of Salt. It is not merely decorated with salt, it is built of salt. Picture this. Over 1,035,000 salt blocks, cut directly from the salar crust, serve as the bricks. These blocks are cemented together using a mortar paste made from ground salt and water. The floors? Compressed salt. The ceilings? Arched salt blocks. Even the beds, tables, and ornate sculptures in the lobby are carved from this hyper-local construction material. It is a profound architectural commitment to the immediate environment, a structure that fundamentally says, we will use what the earth gives us. The sheer engineering effort needed to maintain these structures is astonishing. The construction is a constant battle against the very elements that created it. The high humidity and annual rains slowly dissolve the structure. This is why hotels like the Palacio must undergo seasonal, intense reconstruction, replacing up to 10% of their structure every year. And, as a safety measure against structural erosion, they have a strict rule: do not lick the walls. This structure is a magnificent, beautiful monument, yet utterly ephemeral, constantly submitting to the laws of solubility. The visible salt crust, as impressive as it is, hides the salar's true global significance. Beneath the solid surface, held within the porous halite layers, is a dense, mineral-rich brine. This brine contains the true wealth of the Altiplano: lithium, the white gold. The Salar de Uyuni holds between 50% and 70% of the world's entire known lithium reserves. Lithium is the lightest metal on Earth, and it is the essential component powering our modern world. Our smartphones, our laptops, and the electric vehicles driving the global transition away from fossil fuels. This tiny, remote Bolivian desert sits on the single most critical element for the 21st century economy. It is, quite literally, the white gold of the new technological age. Extracting this treasure is an immense scientific and logistical challenge, complicated by the fragile desert ecosystem. The process involves pumping the brine into vast, shallow evaporation pools, often miles long, where the fierce sun and high-altitude winds do the heavy lifting of separating the minerals. The water evaporates over many months, leaving behind a colorful, concentrated mineral sludge. But this vital resource is entangled in Bolivian sovereignty, complex geopolitics, and massive environmental concerns. Lithium extraction requires significant amounts of precious fresh water for processing, a resource already scarce in the arid Altiplano. The balance is delicate. How does Bolivia harness its wealth without destroying the very ecosystem that contains it? This pristine, quiet desert is, in reality, the epicenter of a global economic and technological revolution, and its future is inextricably linked to the fate of our electric planet. While the dry season reveals a blinding white geometry of crystallized salt patterns, the rainy season transforms the Salar into its most famous guise, the world's largest natural mirror. When a thin, perfectly still layer of rain covers the impossibly flat surface, the ground disappears entirely, reflecting the entire sky, creating a visual effect where the sky and the earth become one seamless, breathtaking expanse. This phenomenon isn't just beautiful. It is a profound scientific benchmark. The Salar is so flat, varying by less than 1 meter across its entire 10,582 square kilometer expanse, that it's used by NASA to calibrate satellite altimeters with unparalleled precision. For tourists, however, it's a chance to literally feel like you are walking on clouds. The sense of perspective collapses, creating optical illusions that defy the reality of solid ground. This surreal landscape is deeply woven into local Aymara mythology. Legend tells that the surrounding mountains, Tunupa, Cusco, and Cusina, were once giant people. When the warrior Cusco abandoned his wife, the giantess Tunupa, she wept while breastfeeding her son. Her bitter tears, mixed with her milk, flowed across the plain, solidifying into the massive salt flat we see today. For many locals, this place is not the Salar de Uyuni, but the sacred Salar de Tunupa, a physical monument to a goddess's grief. Near the Salar, in towns like Colchani, salt is the basis of an entire artisanal industry and local life. The traditional method of harvesting salt, piling it into giant conical mounds to dry and purify it, is a defining feature of the area. This local economy, built on 25,000 tons of annually harvested salt, supports the communities that have called this high-altitude desert home for millennia. Adjacent to the Salar lies a poignant reminder of past resource booms, the Great Train Graveyard of Uyuni. Hundreds of rusting, abandoned locomotives from the British-built railway, used in the early 20th century to haul minerals like silver and tin, now sit marooned in the desert. They are corroding, not by time alone, but by the relentless, airborne salt particles, a final testament to the environment's corrosive power and enduring legacy. The train graveyard represents the corrosive history of boom and bust cycles that have defined Bolivia's relationship with its vast mineral wealth. The Salar de Uyuni is a world defined by paradox, an ancient seabed powering the future, a desert that becomes a perfect mirror, a civilization built on a material that dissolves in water. It is a stunning, fragile landscape that forces us to question what is solid and what is ephemeral. It is not just a place to observe, it is a place to contemplate the true cost and consequence of the next technological age. If you believe the greatest mysteries are the ones science can actually explain, then subscribe. Veil Origins: Impossible Truths.